Welcome to Please Me, the award-winning bilingual podcast bringing you bold conversations and big clit energy. I'm Eve, your host, on a journey from trauma to sexual liberation. Join me and my guests as we dive into conversations around orgasm equality, self-love, body positivity, and essential sexual education. Let's reclaim pleasure and close the orgasm gap one empowering conversation at a time. Last week, I wrapped a powerful two-part interview with Kobe Fox, a gay OnlyFans creator diving into raw truths about the adult industry, sexual health, and living authentically. This eye-opening series is a must-listen. I am beyond thrilled and deeply honored to be nominated for 3 Fan Favorite Podcast Awards. This includes 2 ASN Awards, 2 Latin Podcast Awards, and 2 Women Podcaster Awards, and it's all thanks to your incredible support. You can vote daily, so check the show notes to cast your vote and help me bring these wins home. I'm so grateful for every one of you. Thank you for listening, sharing, and showing up. Did you know that podcasts rely on listener support to keep bringing you the content you love? For the best way to support the show, join me on Patreon for ad-free listening, early releases, bonus episodes, and exclusive content. Please Me is for mature audiences. Sit back, relax, and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me.
Male or female partners also worry about that person who the last time is in this thought. A ring is an effective answer. Doctors don't think about rings. Doctors think about pills. That's what we can train to. And also because we doctors are generally prudes.
ASN Lifestyle Magazine is your go-to source for sex-positive, sophisticated content covering everything from the swinger lifestyle and adult entertainment to intimacy, wellness, and more. You can read every digital issue for free, and subscribers get access to exclusive content. See the show notes for the link to subscribe and check out their Instagram. I'm excited to share that I now have a monthly column in ASN called Big Clit Energy, a Please Me series. Don't miss it and subscribe today.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
5 immersive worlds, 1 amazing theme park. Get ready to explore the all-new Universal Epic Universe, featuring the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Dark Universe. Epic Universe opens May 22nd at Universal Orlando Resort. Our universe will never be the same. Tickets and packages on sale now at universalorlando.com.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, May 1st, only on Netflix.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
Hello, and welcome to Please Me, the podcast that aims to destigmatize conversations about sex and sexual health by turning the sheets into our classroom. Today, I am so excited to welcome Elliot Justin to the show. His tagline is, making men firm again, a pioneering doctor creating the world's first smart penis ring to track and improve erections. And his business is called FirmTech, which is helping men get hard and stay hard and enjoy a lifetime of lovemaking and intense pleasure. And if anyone is listening and is a listener to my show, you know that this is right up my alley. I love talking about pleasure. So welcome, Dr. Justin. How are you today?
Thank you. Great to be here. And it's a beautiful day here in Montana.
Lovely. It's a nice day here in Florida, too. We're on opposite ends of the country, but certainly enjoying great weather today. So good. I'm glad you're having a great day over there. And I want to just jump on in. And I want to know what interested you in creating a product like this?
That's a great question. Because this product should have been created, my perspective, a long time ago, because the need has been there. The sensor technology that we're using was around in the 1980s and 1990s. And I've often wondered why has it taken it so long for this to be created. And I think it's because there's just a general inhibition about sex. We live in this incredible age of healthcare wearables, smart watches, smart rings, smart bands, Oura, Whoop, Apple Watch, MyZone. And there's this gap. And the gap is sex. And yet sex is so important to us. And what are we more interested in? Some slight change in our blood pressure or sleep patterns or our sexual health? So my background, I'm an emergency medicine doctor. And as a man and emergency medicine doctor, I can tell you that short of a heart attack or a stroke, there are few emergencies that concern man as much as they consistently limp dick. And it concerns their partners as well, too, because it has an impact on everyone. And so our sexual health is also our mental health and reflection of our cardiovascular health and medication side effects. It's so profoundly valuable to know about your sexual health. How to directly get involved in this, really, I've always been really interested in sex. My first day of medical school, I went to medical library to read about aphrodisiacs. By the way, nothing worked. But there was exactly a line of medical students behind me fighting to get a hold of the Index Medicus to read about aphrodisiacs. So I have a singular interest. When I was a teenager, my mother took me to insist I go to the urologist twice because she was concerned that my masturbation habit would prevent me from getting into college.
That's
I kept up an outlier. Obviously, it was this second time she took me. I was the end of my junior year, and the doctor, after in front of me, expressing to her his concern about my problem, and pointing out to her that I did have good grades, doc took me aside and said, "Only have to deal with it for one more year, then you'll be free." So
yes. Okay.
So about
just saying that's completely normal and natural
exactly.
And beyond. And I often tell people masturbate on a regular. And I'm just curious.
Orgasm keeps the doctor away.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. And a lot of times people, when they're in a coupled relationship, just ignore the fact that they can masturbate anymore. And I think that's ridiculous because I feel like there's a relationship that you have with your partner, right? And then there's also the relationship that you have with yourself. And keeping the relationship with yourself, your sensual relationship with yourself going is so important for sexual health as well. Do you want to just jump in and comment on that? Because I know that I will often tell my clients that come to me for erectile dysfunction to masturbate regularly.
It's for men and women, it's use it or lose it, especially for men who are in andropause or women in menopause. It will atrophy. The clitoris, the penis will atrophy in terms of their sexual performance because it's a smooth muscle function. Well, the skeletal muscles, I don't want to get a little technical. Skeletal muscles are the ones muscles that we can move. We can go to the gym and we can work out our skeletal muscles. You can't go to the gym and work out the smooth muscles that are involved in arousal and orgasm in men and women. But just to dial back for a moment, so about 3 years, just to help the backstory, about 3 years ago, a medical technologist, as well as an emergency medicine doctor, a professor of urology, challenged me with coming up with a way of counting the number of nocturnal erections that men have because they're a leading indicator of man's cardiovascular health. And I was like a jaw drop, like, really? A leading indicator? Because in medicine, we say leading indicator, we mean that it's predictive. In medicine, we treat association. High blood pressure is associated with stroke or heart attack. It's not predictive. But we take it really seriously. That's because of the association. So if the average man has 3+ nocturnal erections per night, and that number goes to 1 or to 0, that man has a 50% chance of having a heart attack in the next 2 years. that man has an 88% chance of having a stroke in the next 3 to 4 years if he doesn't pay attention to the problem. So to have a device that could be comfortably worn overnight and count nocturnal erections would be like another vital sign. It's certainly a vital sign that men were more interested in than getting on the scale every day or how many steps took yesterday. By the way, women have nocturnal erections too. Eve, how many erections did you have last night?
I'm not sure, but
You don't know.
I spoke with someone about dreams, and I often have sex dreams, and I was telling her that I could never finish, and I get so pissed off. But yeah, tell me about erections at night for women too, because I think that women do need to get engorged in order to be ready for penetration. So tell me all about that.
Women have nocturnal erections too, and they probably are a leading indicator of their cardiovascular health or medication side effects. And right now, there's no way of tracking them. So for what we're working on for women will deliver the same benefits that our device, the tech ring, does for men. Women will be able to count the number of their nocturnal erections, see how long they last, see how engorged the clitoris gets. And with that, they'll be able to see the impact of aging, diseases, medications, hormone therapy upon the relationships with other people, upon their sexual health. The device will be something that women can wear overnight to count the nocturnal erections and also wear during sex.
I love this because oftentimes a lot of money is poured into men's sexual health. The women are left behind, right? And that's the case in pretty much everything in terms of medicine. Sexual health is one of those areas. And so I love that you're looking at the woman's response overnight as well, because if women have to get engorged to be ready for penetrative sex, like a man has to have an erection for penetrative sex, we should be looking at the amount of erections for women as well. And I love that you're creating that for the future. So that is very cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, let me just take one exception to some of these, because I hear it all the time. And there is substantial neglect, most all of women in medicine in general. Almost all medical testing of technology and medications is done on men.
Mm-hmm.
But
and we're supposed to be considered, quote unquote, a small man, which our bodies are totally different. We have different hormones. Of course, there are similarities, but we're human. We're both human. But outside of that, there's a lot of differences too.
But when it comes to sex toys, that's not the case. Because our device straddles health and sex. So we're not only are we collecting data about men, not only have we learned with this data, the primary cause of erectile dysfunction is not what the doctors think it is in general.
Okay.
But we also are interested in enhancing a man's performance and pleasure. So if I go to a sex toy shop, I've been to AVN, I've been to Sexpo, and we have a booth, I'll have women come up to me and say, and something else for men. But I'm in this sea of vibrators, dildos, and lingerie. So the sex toy sector is intensely female focused. And if you take condoms out of it, about 80% of the purchases are by women or for women. Men have nothing for men have very little pleasure. Women have this enormous variety of vibrators. And that's changed the world for women. When I'm old, I'm 72 years old. When I was dating back in the 80s, vibrators are not mainstream yet. And there was certain shame, almost temperament barrier. Oh, you're becoming vibrator dependent. You need to learn how to come with penetrative sex. And in my lifetime, vibrators were mainstream. My mother's vibrator back in the early 60s was stashed away in a supply closet in the bottom drawer of the garage. I don't know how much my father had sex, but it was there. But for my daughter, who's 30, she takes them on dates. They're mainstream. I don't know how many vibrators my wife owns, because at different points of making love, she'll want different sensations. So when it comes to pleasure, women have it all over men. Not the clitoris actually is a superior organ to the penis for pleasure, because the penis has other functions, like urination. But every man suffers from sexual deterioration, actually, before women do. A lot of attention right now is appropriate attention, finally, is being paid to menopause. And I'm confident that in the next 3 to 5 years, testosterone replacement therapy will become the norm for women. It's a game changer. It's so stupid that it hasn't happened yet, because most of my medical career, hormone replacement therapy, estrogen, progesterone, has been controversial. And finally, even though the data showed this decades ago, finally it's become the standard for postmenopausal women. Look, the hormone's missing, testosterone. Postmenopausal women need testosterone as well in order to maintain their libido, increased blood flow into the clitoris. They talk about clitoromegaly as being a side effect of testosterone therapy in postmenopausal women. It's not, it's a feature, it's not a bug. It's actually an advantage. But women have vibrators, but what's happening to men as they get older? So every man suffers a deterioration in the refractory period. Women don't have this. Women have this issue, but not the way the men do. So refractory period is a time between orgasms. Back with the masturbation habit that my mother found to be so painful. I was 14 years old. I had 6, 7, 8 orgasms a day. By the time I was 25, I was maybe down to 4 or 5, and then you carry from there. I'm 72 years old. 2 a day would be pushing it at my age. 1 a day is where I am. That's better than most men my age. Most of my friends be like every 2 or 3 days. Women don't have that, especially women who are taking testosterone therapy. They can be multi-orgasmic pretty much throughout. What I'm saying with my patient, pretty much throughout their lives. So, and then men also suffer from what we've discovered to be the primary cause of erectile dysfunction, which is fading erections due to venous leak. So the doctors back in the 90s, there was a device called the Regiscan. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It looks like something Dr. Frankenstein put on your dick. You have these wires around your shaft of your penis. The wires are going to a box. Originally, there was a box sitting over here. Now you have this thing that you can put in your leg. But basically, it's uncomfortable. It can't be worn during sex. So it's not telling men what's going on while they're having sex, unlike our technology. And you have to kind of sleep rigid. And
got to strip down so you don't move.
The biggest paper had about, off the top of my head, had about 400 men in it. And they were mostly men with significant ED, and I'll get to that in a moment. And they only measured them for 2 nights. And the basis of that, they concluded that men's problems are on what we call, as doctors, the left side of the circulation, meaning the heart and the arteries that come out of that. The heart isn't pumping up blood to the penis, or the arteries are narrow and not getting up blood to the penis. And then you have, typical for healthcare, now you have money behind this. Pharma comes along with Viagra in the 90s, sildenafil. And there were 7 papers about when Pfizer applied to the FDA for approval. 2 of the papers showed no more benefit than placebo. 1 paper showed 70% benefit, but that was only in men who had prostate disease. That's not most men who had prostate cancer and surgery. They're a totally different category. So there are 4 other studies that showed benefit between 10% and 40% with an average of about a little bit less than 40%. So these pills that billions and billions of dollars have been spent marketing them to men, they're not that effective. And why are they not that effective? Because that's not men's predominant problem. Men who have bad diabetes and bad hypertension, they have angina, they have heart disease. Those men are the ones for whom we can say that the penis is the canary in the coal mine of cardiovascular disease, because those men will suffer deteriorating nocturnal erections, deteriorating in number and firmness, deteriorating sex erections. And we're seeing that with this enormous data set. That study by Regiscan had 800 data points. We have 70,000 data points. We have doctors who published papers using our data where they've looked at 20, 30,000 data points. So what have we seen that's really revolutionary? This is really important for your listeners.
Yes.
Why are most men, as they get older, the incidence of erectile dysfunction reported goes up 10% per decade?
Correct.
At my age is 70%. But yet for most men, we're not seeing the firmness of their sex erections or the number of nocturnals going down to late 60s, early 70s. It's not going down precipitously. So why are men having more ED, and yet we're not seeing a deterioration in the blood flow at night or during sex? The answer has to be on the other side of the circulation. The problem is, as men get older, and any man can prove this to himself, or any woman can prove this to herself on her man tonight.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's blood. Every erection.
I'm being given homework, so let's hear it.
Everyone. Every erection ends with full erections too, but every penile erection ends with blood leaving from the penis. So our goal is to keep blood in the penis. The PD5 medications, those are Viagra and psilocybin, the 2 big ones. They put a little bit more blood in, but most men are getting blood in. So the man who can't attain an erection, it's real dysfunction. If a guy struggles to attain an erection, can't attain an erection, let's use the word dysfunction for those men. But we don't talk about women as dysfunctional. The feminists came along in the 80s and they kicked out hysteria, frigidity, anorgasmic. Women have issues, problems that can be addressed with hormones and vibrators. Most men, 90% of men get an erection and lose it, and they could be losing it because they're anxious, they're drinking too much, they're ambivalent about the person that they're with, or they're taking medications that are impacting their erections. And the solution for all these men is an effective cock ring to hold keep blood in the penis. The doctors are not thinking about cock rings. So what we're seeing is that most men's erectile dysfunction is due to blood leaving the penis faster. Here's the experiment. I forgot. Lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Get rock hard tonight. Go to wherever you go to alone. Eliminate all the variables because we don't want any distractions. No one telling you your performance sucks. Don't drink too much alcohol. Go to Pornhub, XNXS, wherever you go to get excited. Or you can do this with a male.
Find your favorite porn
right.
or whatever.
You can do this with a male or female partner. Once you're rock hard, they got to leave though, because there can't be any more stimulation.
Okay.
Turn off Pornhub. Just whatever you're doing. Get rock hard, no stimulation. It's just time how long it takes your erection to go down on stopwatch on your cell phone that everyone in the world has.
And this is for normal function you're talking about, right? This
is for the majority of men. This is for men who struggle to attain erection. This is for a man who gets erection and then loses it. It's going to be about 25 to 35 seconds. Then,
wow, that's fast.
The erection go down. Then get rock hard and then put a ring on it. Our ring, of course, because our ring is the only research-proven ring for comfort. But any ring will do. Don't use a rubber band. You go to a sex toy store and get a decent
rubber band.
Probably guys will do. Anyway, get rock hard and put a ring on. And you're going to be hard for 2 or 3 minutes with all the stimulation. And if you toss the dialfil, because there are 2 studies involving the technology doing this with our maximum performance ring. If you add 10 milligrams to dialfil, you'll stay hard about 4 minutes. The takeaway for all men is if you want to last longer, rock harder, and be more confident, and then have your partner be more confident, because all this has an impact. The guy who's worried about losing erection, he's probably going to lose it. A male or female partner is also worried about that person lost the last time, is going to lose it this time. A ring is an effective answer. Doctors don't think about rings. Doctors think about pills. But that's what we've been trained to do. And also because we doctors are generally prudes. So going back to how I came up with this device, Dr. Hotali was my chief medical officer. He's a urology professor at the University of Utah. He wanted to count the number of nocturnal erections that men have. And I said, Jim, why limit ourselves to nocturnals? Let's measure all erections, sex erections, as well as nocturnal erections. And that means we need to reinvent the cock ring, because cock rings have never caught on. Now, this doctor, like most doctors, is what I call a cock ring virgin. I'm not.
As are many. As are many
straight men. I'm fortunate to be married to someone who really enjoys sex toys. By the way, that's one of my points of marital advice to younger people. Don't marry someone who's not into sex toys. That should be, you have your list of qualities you're looking for. Get that one up there too.
Relationship advice from Dr. Justin: must be open to toys. And I have to say that I agree with you, because when you look at the statistics around the orgasms for women, only 3 to 5% of women can orgasm from penetration alone. And that is a very small percentage. And we're not talking about women who orgasm with the combination of penetration and external stimulation. I'm just talking about external stimulation by itself. It's a very low number. And so we do need external stimulation. And unless your partner is really good at oral or stimulating you externally, or you're really good at using your hands, which I suck at, to be honest. That's not the way that I learned how to masturbate. And so I still suck at it at my age. So I like my vibrators. And not only that, but women also have decreased sensitivity and dryness, which is the male equivalent of erectile dysfunction, right? And those are some of the symptoms that go along with having decreased blood flow to the area. And we need that extra, sensitivity. So as we get older, especially too. So I love that tip. And I'm just curious to know, because we were talking about cock rings, what problems do you see with a traditional cock ring? Because I do think that they are useful. They can be useful in holding the blood in place. So I'm just curious to know.
Sure. So the conventional cock ring is a silicone ring that made the same way for 150 years. They pinch, they're uncomfortable. Silicone as a material is irritating material. Women understand this, men often don't get this, and the cock ring manufacturers don't give a shit about it because they just want to sell cheap product. The idea for our rings are made out of elastomer, soft, it adapts. Silicone makes you adapt to it. Elastomer adapts to you. So we wanted a cock ring that could be worn overnight and therefore could also be worn for longer sex sessions. Problem with these conventional cock rings, especially for men with diabetes or hypertension or compromised circulation, but just guys who want to be comfortable, because I've used them. You won't at all after 15, 20 minutes. It's uncomfortable because it's completely cutting off the blood flow. I like to make love for more than 20 minutes, and I don't want to put something on my dick if that's uncomfortable. So I got into this business, this area of health business, the data, because the data is profoundly valuable. We can, with data, the biohackers like to say, you can't hack it unless you can track it. And now with our tech ring, men can actually hack their sexual health. So that's the problem with these conventional rings. But having come up with a ring that could be worn overnight, I thought, what can be done to produce a ring that will actually enhance a man's pleasure? How can a man have a more intense orgasm? So vibrators are not particularly effective for men. And so my thought was we need to put the right amount of pressure over the urethra to draw out the ejaculation, which is the orgasm. And so this ring, the Massive Performance Ring, was designed to increase the ejaculatory phase in an average man by 50%. So my ejaculatory phase goes from 4 seconds to 7 seconds. And that's an incredible orgasm. I don't need cock rings. I want to use a cock ring because I'm going to last longer.
And have more pleasure.
And have more intense orgasm. And my wife thinks it too, because she's never seen me chewing a pillow before. And she's glad that the kids are out of the house. I do get noisy if I'm being edged with this particular ring. Obviously, edging enhances a man's pleasure, increases the blood flow. But to put the right amount of pressure over the urethra and draw out the orgasm is profound. And men, one of the things the jokes that we have as a company if we go to the American Urology Association or the Society of Sexual Medicine shows, is how you can actually tell the difference between a straight doctor and a gay doctor with one question.
What's the question?
Do you use a cock ring?
Okay.
Straight
one will say no.
Yeah, gay doctors like, hey, last night, you're an idiot. Of course I use cock ring. You got a better one. Let me try it. And the straight doctors they go immediately to the male pride issue. Part of the issue, reluctant part of men to use cock rings. I don't need that. It's not about need. What
right.
you want.
If you're going to have a double the length orgasm almost, why wouldn't you want that? Everybody wants to enhance their pleasure. And as we get older and where erectile dysfunction becomes more commonplace, then it becomes harder to actually even ejaculate because of the decreased sensitivity. So let's just talk about the relationship between erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation.
The men younger men especially, who suffer from premature ejaculation are more likely to get erectile dysfunction as they go into the late 20s and early 30s. So it's controversial because there's probably a minority of men with premature ejaculation who have a neurological problem or hormone-related problem that we just don't understand. We can't quantify. But for the majority of men, it's often a confidence issue, because younger men, and I've heard about this from patients as well too, and I've heard about actually older men as well too. If they're worried about, let's take out of this the 18-year-old who's so excited, that's just the way it is. So when you start talking about premature ejaculation, someone was like 21, 22 years of age. I've had men who, with our device, you can actually quantify how long they're out. Hey, if you're with a new partner, if you're that age and with a new partner and you last one 3 or 4 minutes, that's maybe you don't like it that much, because guys that young often just come quickly, and it takes I know this, I lived through this myself. This is a psychological issue in your early 20s, and by the way, it helps the more you have sex. You avoid sex because you're worried about
Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. It is a skill. It's not something that you just automatically know how to do. It is a skill that you need to build. So yes, younger men are going to have issues with premature ejaculation, either one, because they don't give a shit about their partner and they're just going to come just to get themselves off and they don't care about the girl, or 2, because they get overly excited and they're like, oops, it happened too quickly. Yeah. So do we talk about edging with our clients? Because I know I often talk about teaching a man how to do edging or have their partner help them so that they can learn how to prolong the fun.
Yeah. But there are older men and I've spoken to a few of them, probably as well too. They try to come quickly because they're concerned they're going to lose it.
Okay. Right, which is the relationship between the PE and the, and the erectile dysfunction.
That's where a ring is valuable because, as I said before, if you're going to look with our maximum performance ring, if I've taken 5 or 10 SILs, I'm going to be hard for 4 or 5 minutes after I climax. I don't need that because I'm in a successful marriage. The woman comes first and third, and the guy comes second. That's the way it is. But it should be. People take notes out there because
the woman should be getting hers first. I like that.
Yes. And I enjoy
it's not always the case. It's not always the case. And then, the man rolls over and that's the end of the story. It's, wait a minute. No, we have all these toys that we can still be using. Why are we stopping just because you had an orgasm? That's not fair. We have to think about both partners. Just putting in my 2 cents here. So go for it.
I agree with that. But if a man is using a ring, a comfortable ring like ours, and he's climaxed, he will stay hard. Now, why do I enjoy that? Why does my wife enjoy that? Because it changes my mindset. The male mindset, as you just alluded, rolling over. The male mindset is, I'm done. I'm going to sleep. Who's texted me while we're fucking? Let's go have a drink. I want to pop the pod. Let's do something. Turn on the TV. Whatever. The mindset is go on and do something else. But a man who's hard thinks differently. Now, I have managed actually a few times in the last year or two with a ring to come again, which is very unusual at my age. But what I like about it is actually, my wife likes about it too, is it's actually more romantic because I'm hard after I come. We're still horizontal. We're talking. It's hard. It's sometimes hard talking to younger people who have much more transactional mindset about sex, about romance and intimacy. But using a ring has not only changed my sexual performance and made both of us more confident, it's changed our intimacy. There's no longer this, since my wife knows that, and I hear about from customers and patients too, if a woman or male partner knows that the guy is going to stay hard even with minimal stimulation because he has a ring on it, suddenly there's no longer this rush to orgasm. There's no longer this, gee, if I go down on her, I'm going to lose my erection concern that men have that they don't want to discuss with their partners. Things are much more relaxed. And then there are the issues that men don't want to discuss with their partners that I've really just learned about from talking to customer patients because I got involved in this area of health. And there are 3 of them. One is distraction. There are women, it might not be you, Eve, but there are many women with the middle of sex, especially in a committed, trusting relationship. Suddenly start talking about something else. My wife does it. Something happened with the kids, something about work, some great idea comes to about redesigning some part of our house or a holiday or something happened with a mother. And people,
no.
And I recently had her 2 sisters over and they confessed they're those kind of women too.
Okay, so distraction's number 1. Give me the other 2.
Distraction number 1. So with a ring on, I don't care. But before, I would have been, why are you talking about that? But now it's okay. Because the other 2 are really things that men really don't want to discuss with their partners because they're turn-offs to their partners. 1, I'm bored with that position.
Okay.
What guy wants to tell his partner, male or female, I've heard about from a couple of gay guys too. I've done this 1,000 times. Woman screaming from behind, doesn't do anything for me. People want to do that. And that's a source of losing one's erection, loss of confidence, tension. I've experienced that in my marriage. There are certain positions that my wife likes, especially after she's climaxed, that until I put a ring on, I would lose my erection because I've just done it so many times. And that leads into the third thing that men do not want to discuss with their partners. I don't get any friction in that position. What guy wants to tell his wife, put this to loose. I'll just personalize it again because it's easier that way. My wife is 71 years old. She's had 3 children. I don't get any, we've had made love in this position 2,000 times. A ring totally changes that. Because of the ring, I'm still hard. And a guy who's still hard is thinking very differently than a guy who's worried about losing his erection because they just do think, hey, it turns me on. I don't need to come in this position. You can come in this position. Then we'll do something else. So
right, absolutely. That's a great point.
A ring is really a game changer. And I want to go back to one thing you said before. So I want to wage war on the word dysfunction.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So here's the mindset of doctors when it comes to cock ring. You know what doctors call a cock ring?
What do they say?
Penile constriction device.
Okay.
Now, that sounds like something a Nazi would come up with. Who wants to put a restriction? I got a problem.
It sounds scary. Yes, it does. It sounds scary.
Well, I'm not going to string the device up. So the men have no problem using the word dysfunction for the men who struggle to attain erection, because we want to have a term that's alarming. Go to a doctor. You have dysfunction. But the guys who can't, who attain erections and lose it, they have an issue. They have a problem. Maybe they talk to someone like you or talk to me about what they just help them to identify what is or are the cause of that problem. But we've come up with this word that's kind of shameful and embarrassing. Guys don't want to talk about ED with their doctors. They don't want to talk about ED with their friends. But if someone has a problem, it's very different. So if someone has
they'll seek medical attention. And I agree with you. And I do think that a lot of times people don't want to even admit that they have dysfunction. And so they will wait. And especially when it's sexual dysfunction, they will wait for years and years and years and years because they are too embarrassed to bring it up. They're too embarrassed to talk to their partners about it, let alone talk to their doctors about it. So they're really putting it off until they're really too far gone. You know what I mean? Like the treatment that I do, which I do acoustic wave therapy to increase blood flow, this is going to be helpful for people that are in the early stages, right? Mild to moderate erectile dysfunction. But if you're in severe erectile dysfunction, that means you've probably had it for many years. And then people will come to me in that state and expect that in 2 or 3 sessions, they're going to suddenly be better. And it's, wait, no, it has taken you how many years to get to this point? So the best time to treat is early on. And so I love having these conversations with you and with other people about dysfunction in the early stages. This is when you really want to get treated because that's when you're going to really find the most efficacy. And would you say that's the truth with the ring as well?
Yeah. And the great thing about the ring is that it gives men data. It makes it objective. Is my problem here or there? My problem with medications. If I change the dose of my hypertaxis, antidepressants, anti-anxiety,
you can see the change.
Urine flow medication, you can see the changes. So we don't treat ED. Again, I really hate that dysfunction, but I'd rather call it erectile disorder. But ED is one of the areas where, other than psychiatry, where else do we treat people on the basis of just subjective reporting? Even if you were a patient of mine, you came to me and said, "Hey, Elliot, when I exercise, my face gets flushed. I think I have high blood pressure, and my pulse feels irregular." And I said, "Oh, great, Eve. You take these 2 pills, will come back in 3 months." You would think, "The fuck is this 1880? Do you have a blood pressure cuff here? Do you have an electrocardiogram machine in the office? How about the blood test? What it can be this?
Let's find out what's going on."
With ED, with men, for the majority of men, they're not sick people like you and me. They're either going online and answering a questionnaire like with GetRow or with HIMSS or the other ones, and they always give you pills. Or they're going to their family doctor or urologist. It's the same thing, basically. Hey, you got a problem? Take this pill, come back in 3 months. If that's not working, double the dose, quadruple the dose. But there's no way of getting objective data other than with a Doppler in a doctor's office. And that's a moneymaker. But Doppler's only one data point. Haven't gotten one Doppler just to see what it felt like. But when a guy approaches you with hair in the back of his hand, snaps the glove.
Parents of twins, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
In golf, precision is everything, on and off the course. PGA of America chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business for smooth operations and seamless transactions. Together, we enhance ticketing and concessions for better fan experiences from gate to green. This is pro-level efficiency. This is PGA of America with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at StitchFix.com.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Hey Ryan, that was a fast trip. It was like you teleported.
Yeah, just got in. I'll get all my expenses logged, I promise.
Oh, no, you're okay. SAP Concur uses advanced AI, so your expense report will practically write itself. Quite the breakthrough. It's like we've been teleported into the future.
All right.
So, just curious, would you give us written permission to convert your matter into energy patterns and reassemble you at, say, random travel destinations?
Margaret, are you building a teleporter?
No. Yes.
SAP Concur helps your business move forward faster. Learn more at concur.com.
Cold device and chili gel, puts it on your dick. That's not really predicting what's going on in real life. So that's where our data is really valuable, because we can tell people what's going on during sex.
And you can get it day after day, on a medication, off a medication. So yeah, I absolutely agree. Data is king, right? And so I love that there's so much data that can be collected with this device. It's wonderful. And so this leads us to our final question and our final role play, I will say. And we decided that I'm going to be a woman coming to you with my partner who has erectile dysfunction or disorder, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to be jumping in and seeing you as my doctor, or let's say my husband is seeing you as my doctor. But I'm going to be jumping in because it also affects me as well. And I think that a lot of times women are left out of the equation, and we're tiptoeing around our partners, not wanting to upset them if they get a limp dick while we're having sex. We don't want to upset them, but the fact is that it's upsetting for us too. So that's going to be the...
One point, quite interrupt you. 30% of our tech rings are being bought by women. They're being bought by women because women are more concerned about their man's health. Often that man should be concerned about his health. And they're worried because their partner has hypertension or diabetes, or started taking medication and is not getting any data. And the women are sophisticated shoppers, and they're saying, no, we need to find out what's really going on with data. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, not at all. So I'm going to start our role play now. Okay. And maybe I'll include that then too. Okay. And action. Dr. Justin, I'm here with my partner, and we are here because we are having issues with our sex life. And I found out about some treatment that you offer. And so I decided to drag him here with me so that he can hear what you have to offer, because I want to make sure that our sex lives stay amazing throughout our whole lives.
I would like to know about your husband's overall physical condition. Is he in good health? Does he have diabetes or hypertension? Is he overweight? And what medications does he take?
Okay. So he does have hypertension. He has seen a cardiologist, and the cardiologist says he's fine. And he just takes medication for high blood pressure. He also has high cholesterol, so he's taking medication for high cholesterol as well.
It's interesting that your husband has high blood pressure, because there are two classes of blood pressure medications that can interfere with sexual performance. And commonly, the doctors don't pay attention to someone's sexual health. I've experienced that myself. So if your husband is taking a beta blocker, like Lopressor, or if your husband is taking an ARB, like lisinopril, these are medications that are associated with erectile dysfunction. If you're taking them in combination, that could be a problem. It could be actually the major problem here. And your husband loses erection because of these medications, and losing his confidence. We don't want to treat the confidence issue if the problem is simply one that can be addressed with medication. Your husband is also older and is likely also to be suffering from what I call fading erections of aging, what the doctors call venous leak. So what I recommend is that you get a tech ring. Let's find out what's going on with your husband's erections overnight and while he's having sex. And here's how that works. It's a comfortable, smart, wearable. If your husband is having 3 or more nocturnal erections per night, then it's probably not a medication side effect. This is probably an issue involving loss of confidence due to blood leaving the penis faster as he gets older. On the other hand, if your husband is having 1 or less nocturnal erections per night, you need to go back to your doctor, because your husband's cardiovascular condition is likely to be much worse than the cardiologist thinks. That needs to be looked into.
Okay, that's really scary, but at the same time, I appreciate that information, because how else would we possibly know unless we were measuring whether or not he's having 3 or more or 1 or less? Go ahead.
One more important question, which your doctor probably did not ask you. Is your husband's problem that he can't attain an erection? Or does your husband get an erection and lose it? And if he gets an erection and loses it, have you observed what is happening when that occurs?
Yeah, usually that's the case, that he'll get an erection, but then he'll lose it. And I often will try not to make a big deal out of it, but I have to say that for me too, it's wah, wah, wah. It's such a letdown, and I'm tired of it. I really want him to get better because I love sex and I want to make sure that we're enjoying it until we're well in our 90s.
I want to help you achieve that. I want you to have a long lifetime of lovemaking. This is where the data becomes important, because if your husband's having 2 plus 3 nocturnal erections per night, you're more likely not to be dealing with a confidence issue. And it might be one that's aggravated by his medications, and that we can address as well too, once we get the data. But it's certainly, if your husband's already getting erection, he's getting blood into his penis, a ring is a non-pharmacological solution to it. A comfortable ring, once he gets an erection, will help to keep him hard. So whatever his confidence issues are, and you'll need to come back for this, we get into that in more detail. We need to know more about whether this could be alcohol related, or if this only happens in certain positions or under certain circumstances. But regardless of what the circumstances are, once he gets hard, a ring will help to keep him hard, make him more confident, and also make you more confident as well too, and help both you enjoy sex.
I would love that. And I appreciate all the information that you're providing. Thank you so much, Dr. And scene. That was fun. And I love modeling these conversations because we all need to get comfortable about having these radical, honest conversations with one another within relationships, and also radical honesty when it comes to seeing your doctor. If you're having an issue and you're embarrassed to talk about it, practice saying what you're going to say in front of the mirror or whatever, and then go into your doctor's office and tell them what's on your mind. It's so important to really talk about the issues that you're having.
Can't agree more.
And I wanted to ask you one more thing.
Sure.
Before we move on, and that was, what sort of things are on the horizon for women in terms of technology for learning about our bodies?
2 things. We're developing the device we call the Critique, which is the world's first monitor of the health of the clitoris.
Okay. Okay.
We have sensors behind the pubic bone that'll measure the strength of your orgasmic contractions. But most importantly, we have sensors on both sides of the glands of the penis, the head of the clitoris, We have sensors on both sides that will measure engorgement. They will measure blood flow. And with this information, women will get the same benefits that men can get from our tech ring. They'll be able to see how healthy they are in comparison to other women their age. They will be able to assess the impact of diabetes, hypertension, obesity, vices, smoking, alcohol, too many recreational drugs upon their sexual health, and the impact of treatments. What is the impact of these pelvic floor exercises? What's the right dose of testosterone for me? If they're premenopausal, am I taking the wrong dose of hormones for birth control? Is my anti-anxiety medication screwing me up and actually the source of my anxiety, and I should stop taking it? So this is going to be profoundly valuable for women. And we just launched a device called the Ringmate. That's for hands-free penetrative sex for women on top or women on the bottom. It sits on top of slides onto all of our rings. It can also be used hands-free, which is how I like using it. You alluded earlier to how you don't like using your hand. Why is that? Because you get wrist fatigue. At least I do. So if I'm having sex with my wife from behind, reaching around for her clitoris, when we were younger, she'd come faster. She ought to be using her hand or her hand or my hand. She doesn't want to be on one hand right now because she's older. And for me, this is tiring. With this, she calls me Superman because it's a vibrator. And similarly, if I can also use this masturbating here as well too, because it's not some big ball that's obscuring with the location of the clitoris. It's more like a tongue. So
I like that it's small. You can probably fit it in between any small space because body is touching body. Sometimes it's really hard to get in there with a vibrator or not at all. So you're just having penetrative sex only because you just can't squeeze it in there. So I like the fact that it's really small. And we will definitely have to have you back on to talk about the female side of the technology that you're developing later down the road. I think that's super exciting. But I want to make sure that my listeners can find you. Where can we find you?
You can find me at myfirmtech, myfirmtch.com. You can reach me personally at Elliot, Elliot, at myfirmtech.com.
Fantastic. And if you're interested in this product that he's talking about, and I cannot wait to tell all of my patients, and I'm going to have to start including this as part of my protocol for my patients who come to me with erectile dysfunction, because the data is going to be so incredibly useful. So if you are interested in getting this product, you can use this coupon code for 15% off, and it's Please Me 15. So make sure that if you're going to order it, use that coupon code and you will get 15% off since you are listening to the show from this particular podcast. So definitely check that out. And again, if you want to find me, you can find me on pleaseme.online. That is my website. I have a big toy store there, and I often will recommend that my clients that have erectile dysfunction get a penis pump to really increase that blood flow to the penis. And I have several on my website there if you're interested in looking at those. That is part of my protocol. And if you love this episode as much as I loved talking to Dr. Justin, please make sure that you copy it right now and you send it to a friend that you think would also benefit. And again, always leave reviews because that is how podcasts grow. So again, thank you so much for being on the show today, Dr. Justin.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. Until next time, for ad-free listening, exclusive bonus episodes, Eve's library of archived webinars, and early access to new releases of Please Me, become a monthly supporter on Patreon. Simply open the Patreon app on your phone, search for Please Me, and subscribe today for premium content and more. Cheers to finding your pleasure and big clit energy.